It's live, yo. It's live. Yeah. You guys start?
Sure. I just want to make sure you were good to go.
Yeah, we're good on the streaming.
Okay. I threw this topic up on the list of ideas and conversations because it's something that I'm really trying to dig into. I'm Erin Magley, Educational Technology here in Denver Public Schools. And these are the people, you are the people that I want to talk to about this because personalized learning is something that's really coming to the fore in education, especially for this kind of crowd, for us, right? And there's so many definitions out there. It's this growing thing that people are beginning to understand more and more, and I don't know that we will ever reach a final definition of what personalized learning is, but I just wanted to hear what people are doing in their districts and how they define personalized learning and what struggles you're having. So off we go.
Just one thought on, so that we know who is in the room and that we can take notes collaboratively and all that kind of stuff. If you are, if you go to the edcampco.com and click on the room number 109 from the session board, it'll open up the Google Doc that will let you edit, and you can put in your name and how to contact you, especially if we're starting to share resources and things like that. It's always a good idea to know who's in the room, but that's for every session that you are in today. It's a very, very good idea to start that way and to keep that going. Super exciting stuff. So sorry, I just wanted to make sure we were all doing that. So the question, as you were stating it, I really like as, what are you doing? What does personalized learning mean to you? I think that's a huge question that we're all trying to tackle right now. That's huge.
Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Well, actually, we started some Twitter chats on Monday nights in our district. We started the hashtag probably 6 years ago, but not a lot of traction. Now we have a new assistant superintendent. So she's taken that, and on Monday nights, there's a different topic. So it's personal in the sense that it's whatever the teachers are interested in that night. Might be special education, technology integration, social, emotional issue, whatever the topic is. So you see the difference, because typically our district has, like, this is the PD, and it doesn't really matter if you like it or you don't, it's your interest or you're not. So you talk about personalized learning, you're seeing different people pop up for different nights. So and it's, it's not in anyone's face, it's just nice, it's out there, you don't have to do it, but the numbers are growing every Monday. So it is SSD EDU, Summit School District EDU. But it's just interesting how long it takes. It's okay, but we've had it for 5 or 6 years and it's just sat there. And finally, slowly, so I think it's a positive step in the right direction, and it's personal.
So that's personalized learning for your staff, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like when staff are exposed to personalized learning for themselves, thankfully we have a department in our district that's focused on that. They can begin to understand it better for their kids, right?
Yeah.
You come to a teacher who's never been exposed to it and start talking about how you do that with your kids, and it takes a pretty talented, open-minded kind of person to go, okay, sure, I can imagine that, let's give it a try. But until you've experienced it for yourself, personalized professional learning, right? It might be hard to transfer those ideas and philosophies over to your kids.
I just want to say that one of the things that concerns me about personalized learning is that a lot of times that means, to some people, you stick a kid in front of a computer and some program tells that child what he or she is interested in. And I don't think that's personalized at all. That's kind of scary, actually. I feel like we really have to be able to know our kids to be able to talk about personalized learning. At our school, we do learning profiles at the beginning of every year. It's not just, here's a form, fill it out. It's a conversation that we have with our kids. We get to meet with them for 30 minutes. And I know that's not always feasible at every school, so don't get me wrong here, but really understanding what those kids are interested in, and then taking the time to continue those conversations throughout the school year. really help us as teachers to understand where those kids are coming from and then to help them. A lot of times kids don't know what they like or what they're passionate about. And helping them focus those energies into, this is what you're really about, this is who you are. They get to have that voice and decide what that is, not us. So that's my spin on personal learning.
Where are you from?
Anastasis Academy.
Oh, we visited
Yes.
there, so.
Maybe you could talk a little bit about, maybe the third time I've heard that place in the last couple months. It'd be interesting just to hear what the environment there is like at the academy.
Yeah, that'd be like a full session. I don't want to monopolize this one. I'm happy to talk to anybody else today about that. Absolutely.
Connect over lunch.
Yes.
Like for me, I found myself sitting in a PD Thursday afternoon, and the comment that came out of my mouth that I felt was really strange but poignant was like, I really wish my PD was more like, I wish I was being treated like a kid right now. I wish I was being treated like a student, because if this lesson, this PD was presented in front of students, it would fail the LEAP framework for DPS. Like it would just bomb. Like you would never expect students to pay attention. You would find the high-flying kids chatting in the background, causing disruption, and that's exactly what happened. And so it sounds like a really weird thing, but I really wish I was treated more like a student during my PD. Like if you thought it was good for the kids, we act like we're so much different as learners as grown-ups. We're not. We want the same things. We want someone to understand us. We want relationships, and we want someone to meet our needs right where we're at, not be bored, but not be overextended. And I think if we can model adult learning the way that we are looking at student learning, I think we're going to strengthen both areas simultaneously. It's not like one has to come first.
I think we also have to realize that teachers and kids can learn from each other, and there's nothing wrong with kids leading some of the PD for teachers.
What would that look like?
We had some accidentals in our building the other day. We had a kid who learned how to use something called Movely, which the teacher, who the two of us who she was showing it to, we'd never seen it before. So we said, would you teach us how to use that at lunch? We had lunch together, the three of us, and she taught us how to use the program, and it's really cool. And we have to be willing to realize they can teach us as much. And it was right now, we all needed it, so.
What's it called?
It's called Movely? Movely, yeah.
I feel like my struggle is, I do Gene Sauer Passion Project, which kids really latch on to when they can do that and personalized their learning. But then when I say we're learning about the American Revolution, I teach elementary school. When I say we're gonna learn about the American Revolution, how do you wanna learn it and have them individually, they don't know where to find, like they don't know how they wanna learn it, because that's not their passion. Well, some it is, but it's not every single kid's passion, but we have to learn it. So I struggle with, I've seen different classes do it when I've gone out to see other schools where they give choice boards, but then I'm like, okay, that's still personalized if you're saying you have to do, your typical, choose box and do that. I still feel like that's not quite personalized, that's just giving them choice. So that's where I struggle, so I don't know I can't make the American Revolution their passion.
Something that I struggle with is that very thing, and what I've come to the understanding is that there is this spectrum of personalization, right? Where you can give them some choice about some things, but of course the extreme version of personalized is where kids pick all of their interests, all of their content, how they're going to study it, and what they're going to learn. Back here on the other spectrum, in my understanding, is I feed you everything that the standards and the tests say you need to know. You don't choose. And then so then in between, we're doing these things you're bringing up. And I think some of it is going to be easier to implement in our schools as our society is right now, and some of it's going to take a bigger leap and a bigger jump to do, right?
I wonder too, if you started off with maybe a statement or something like that where the kids could generate questions. Our school is inquiry-based, so it's all about questions. And once they learn to ask those really good questions, because they have that ownership of what that question is, then investigating it becomes more about them, right? And that again leads more into that personalized this is what I'm learning. And the fun thing too is then when the kids kind of all talk together about the questions they've had, and they talk about how they're investigating, and you can use any of those kind of things, well, here's what I know now, and here's what I'm learning, and here's what I still need to know. And they find that they keep generating more and more questions, and something that they didn't realize that they might be interested in, whether if they're passionate about it, that might be not it, right? But if they're at least interested enough to go down that trail of, well, I don't know this yet, and I still don't know. Like that sometimes is really helpful in that. You're not gonna get every kid, obviously, to be asking, for some kids, asking a question is, I don't know how to do that.
Also, I think approaching something like the Revolutionary War, that's so huge. I mean, if you ask me, what do you want to learn about the Revolutionary War? I was actually thinking when you said that, what do I want to know? Not a whole lot, because I'm not a history person, you know, I'm not drawn towards that. But then I started thinking, what would I ask the kids? And I think what I would ask them is what they like first before I even introduce the topic. So if you break it down to weapons of the war, battles of the war, clothing of that time period, dances of that time period, food, then you start to draw it on their interest, but you already know what their interests are before you even bring up the topic. So then they make their whatever vision board of their 10 interests, and then you have a place to start, I think, with the inquiry questions. Like, okay, somebody likes dance up here. What do you think they did? You know, who danced at that point in time? What kind of dances, et cetera? And then, I don't know, I think when you aggregate all of those interests, then you're learning something really that it's much less than topical, you know? But I don't know, like I think those big subject areas are really hard to drill down to until, you know, I mean, when you're 10, you don't know what your passions are until like your teachers frankly introduce them to you, because what am I passionate about? I'm passionate about the subjects that I have really great teachers in, you know, and that's what made me passionate, was those teachers. So
I think I would say that, you know, we still have an obligation to teach the standards, because we hope that the teacher that taught the grade before us taught those standards, so that they have what they need when they come to us, and at the teachers that come after us, we would hope that we taught the standards so that those students have what they need in terms of being ready for that. But where it becomes personalized is, how do we incorporate that standard, as you were saying, into what interests them? And then, you know, can technology be a tool to help us? I mean, one of the things that, you know, is powerful, I think, is I watch this conference and I watch everybody on Twitter or Google Docs or whatever it is. You know, how do we use that as a tool to help kids, whether it's building a website or a portfolio or a Movely, that's new to me, but is there a way that we can help them get there? There's a really good book called Learning Personalized by one of the ASCD authors, as well. It's really good about that, and she talks a lot about, you know, building that unit and really building it from a larger scope. So knowing that these are the standards that we need to accomplish within that unit, but not really building it all the way down to the lesson level, because then giving the students some freedom to have the conversation around, we know that these are the big ideas or the essential questions or whatever terminology you use in your district or your school. These are what we have to accomplish, but how can we allow the kids that freedom and creativity to help us get to those big ideas? And so,
Do you mind putting that book and author in the notes? I think
Sure.
people would love to read for that.
Somebody's already in
Oh,
That's
I didn't
why we
know
got
the
everybody.
Zamuda, last name is Zamuda, Z-M-U-D-A.
The thing that brings up for me is, you know, how do you help parents understand the outcomes of personalized learning, right? So that on the front end, the fear piece goes away, and you can really help them understand that personalized learning can be standards informed and standards based. And when we're really looking at outcomes and what does it take to kind of, you know, what do we know about a 21st century learner and how that kind of sits out there? But I think you know enough to be able to say to parents, this is a new skill set. It's not just the Caribbean thing that we're trying as teachers because it's fun for us, but we really see that these are the kind of skills of being able to be self-aware enough to identify what their interests and passions are. It's just absolutely, I mean, it's reading and writing in terms of a basic skill in today's world because of the pace at which we're changing. So as soon as I was able to kind of talk with parents at my school about, don't be scared. These are, I mean, it's different than when we were in school, and you know, you've got to begin to kind of get excited about it. If it doesn't start to look profoundly different in schools, we're not going to prepare your kids for what they're facing. So kind of what's our undergirding of why this is interesting to us and how do we articulate that in schools?
you want to come and talk to parents, I can show you better than I can tell you. I mean, I can talk all day and I can give you my blended learning elevator pitch and I can show you images and videos and but honestly, come in the room. And not for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, like come spend a day. You know, if you really want to know what's up, that's the way you find out. You know, it's just like when people come to me and they're trying to figure out how do I pick the best school for my kid? How do I, what do I look for? They're looking at the websites and the test scores, and I give them the same advice every time. I don't know if it's good advice, but what I say is, go find some teachers and ask them if they like their job, and don't even listen to their answer. Just make sure you're looking in their eyes when you ask your question. It doesn't even matter what they say. You'll know. And if their eyes light up when you ask, put your kid there.
Yeah.
Whatever's on the walls, whatever. If the teacher's eyes light up, and so like, that's when personalized learning starts to happen. All these things that we're talking about, they're all scaffolds on that path. And they're all good steps. Like, we'll take growth and progress any day of the week. It's awesome. You guys are killing it.
I teach 7th grade reading, and we have separated reading and writing in our school. But I have a very rigid curriculum in it. There's a huge learning gap. Basically, the curriculum I have is what would be seen in a high school setting. So I am trying to fill this gap. And what I've done is, for a select few of German kids that have asked for something more, a little bit rigorous and fast-paced, I flipped my classroom for them. So basically, they're reading their book at home, and we're reading Pygmalion this quarter. Yes, and they're supposed to understand gender and identity issues. And these are 7th graders that really haven't been out in the world. I mean, they don't know anything yet. So it's been very interesting because with these kids, what I did is I have them for my homeroom, and while they are doing the reading and they're answering all the questions that I have through the curriculum at home, in our homeroom, they come and they bring me topics with gender and with identity. And they can send me videos and we'll watch them in class, and they've actually are doing Socratic seminars. And it's very interesting to see what these kids bring to class. And it's very personalized to them because they are the ones that are able to pick what videos they want to talk about, as long as it's within the confines of what the unit is about. So I think that kids have really liked it. Parents have actually loved it, which has surprised me because parents are very hesitant about change for their kids sometimes. So I've had more positive parent emails this quarter for those kids than I have had all year so far. Because parents don't like the curriculum that we have, but they think what I'm doing with this now is amazing. And the kids, I've seen a difference in their questioning, their inquiry skills, their analytical skills, their thinking skills. And I think that it's just giving them that power to choose. And granted, they are confined to what I tell them to, but they have such a more broad term to look on and research things than reading and answering questions and doing an interactive workbook, which everyone else is doing. So I'm thinking of flipping all my classrooms next quarter. We'll see how it goes.
We think you should go for it.
You're here in the right place.
I am. I'm going to, and I'm going to do it that.
That's the educational revolution I like.
Better ask for forgiveness than permission.
That's what I did this quarter.
So I'd be interested to hear on the definition side of things, actually what you would define as personalized learning. And I actually would wonder if we would be able to hear more if we huddled up a little bit and talked in a smaller group and then maybe shared out. Does that feel okay?
Yeah.
So like, I would just love to talk to some other folks. Like, what is the definition that you are moving with? And that, because we've heard a lot of different things about choice, about the relevance issue, about constraints, like how, what does personalized learning mean to you? I think that question was very well stated. So I would be interested to hear you take a couple of minutes to do that. Cool.
At our table?
Yeah, your table.
Okay.
Or grouping.
To inform that, I threw up a link to a graphic that Ed we put out a year or so ago. It just has a little bit of a, maybe a
Nice.
awesome place to start.
Thank you, sir.
I need to get.
And so I mean, I have pictures that I did, and we would read it, I teach them, but I was sixth grader in my class, and do high school.
It's pretty dirty, is what you're saying.
So if I'm gonna personalize this learning, I don't use I used to go. So personalized learning is that
Then like,
kids' choice.
oh, they,
Or they have,
So you blend grade level.
You're late to learn. Nice to meet you.
I agree with part of that, just my hours. My daughter. The teacher also does a good You still have to have the
all the way personalized. And I think that's where like,
skillful teacher.
sorry, I have that.
Culture, of course. Here we go.
Where personal learning plays a
Etymology of the word.
Something when I click on
Video format better cycle. I don't need
So where is it built? Oh, we gotta, clearly we have to stop it.